H.P. Lovecraft, one of the most recognised names in horror and surreal fiction. A difficult life, riddled with poverty, tragedy, and depression, left him with a bleak and pessimistic view on life. And who could blame him? Multiple illnesses from a young age, watching his family slip slowly into mental unease, suicidal thoughts, and his life work being unrecognised would push anyone to an unrecoverable state of hopelessness. Like any artist though, he found a way to channel his emotions into his work. As a result, an iconic and adored lore was established. Sadly, however, his creativity was never recognised during his life, and he died in obscurity and poverty of cancer at 46 years old. Such a tragic end to a talented artist. The silver lining though, is that his work was eventually recognised, and today he is most commonly recognised as the creator of the Cthulu mythos and stories related to it. He's been the inspiration to many types of media. You probably have an idea of what kind of media he's inspired, but was one of the things you were thinking of figurine gaming? Believe it or not, there is a miniatures war game based on the stories from the Cthulu mythos. I personally haven't played it, so I can't give an honest opinion of how it is, but I have played the video game adaptation of it. Before I get into the game, I should stress that I'm not familiar with every detail of Cthulhu lore, so forgive me if I don't recognise any errors that may be in this game, but I can at least judge it as a game as objectively as I can. That said, let's begin. So normally I would show you these games from the very start, but in all honesty, with all the hours I've sank into the game, not much has changed since the start of the game. It's a turn-based strategy game where you play as the Allied forces during World War II, taking on a Nazi force known as the Black Sun, who are capable of using the paranormal for evil. Naughty, naughty Nazis. You start by choosing a mission from the battle map. Whether it's a side or a main mission, you will receive rewards that you can use to upgrade your characters and their equipment, with more powerful equipment being found as you get further into the game. You're then given a short briefing of your objective while the game loads. Most of the time, your objective is to just kill the enemy. Sometimes you have to get a squad of members to an extraction point, and other times you may have to defend a position for a set number of rounds. The variety in the missions is small, but it is adequate. You always have a squad of the 4 same soldiers, each with their own stats and abilities, and characters well known in the Cthulhu lore. Captain Harris, an English commando who is the squad's leader and specialises in buffing his allies while also having a balanced defensive and defensive skill set. Sergeant Carter, an American trooper who loves his big guns and is the go-to man for crowd control. Corporal Singh, an Indian close-quarters fighter who has access to magical attacks. And Dubois, a French gunslinging witch with a dragon familiar who in my game is overpowered to shit.
Leave this to me!
Anyone who's played XCOM will be able to pick up the game's mechanisms with very little effort, though there are some noticeable features that you should be aware of. Each character starts with a set number of action points, or AP. The squad can be used in any order and you can swap between them mid-turn to maximise your strategic options. There are a number of actions the characters can perform, with some being unique to them, though not all of them cost AP because one action point mechanic is just not enough. First, let's look at the actions covered by AP. Obvious one first, moving. Outside of combat, your squad will move as one and will only be able to move as far as the white line. When they find an enemy, they will freeze in place while the enemies move into cover. You, however, don't get that same luxury. Fucking bullshit! Instead, combat starts and chances are you'll be wasting a turn getting characters into cover. Not always the case, but still. One rule for the AI and another for you is a dick move. In combat, you move the soldiers one at a time. A unit can move to any square that's inside the white outline. When a soldier moves to cover, you will see either a white shield or a cracked yellow one. A full white shield means that the unit is in cover and will be less likely to be hit when shot at, though magic attacks are not affected by cover. A cracked shield means that the unit is flanked and will still be as easy to shoot as if they were stood out in the open. Once you decide where they will move to, you must decide which way they will face. This will determine if they can see the target they want to attack. you can spend a small amount of AP to change the character's facing direction after they've moved. Attacking with a gun or a melee weapon, reloading, using an item, or using some skill also costs AP. The issue is that all the actions are quite expensive. The further you move, the more AP a character uses. Most of the time you'll find that after moving a character, they won't have enough AP to shoot, which can be a huge disadvantage in some situations. Take for example, Corporal Singh. A close quarters unit, but by the time he reaches the enemy he can't afford to shoot his gun. It's the equivalent of Superman flying in to save you only to find out he's narcoleptic. Before you attack, this information box will tell you your chance to hit the target, expected damage, and how far the target is. Each unit will have a weapon that does better at different ranges, so be aware of this when you're equipping them. It's important to know what factors increase your percentage to hit the target. As you can expect, the character's stats and skills play a part in this as well, along with the cover. Seeing the target is also just as important. The grey skull indicates that the character is aware of the target but is hidden in the fog of war, so you can attempt to shot but your accuracy will suffer. A red skull will make you think of a German supervillain, and it also means that your character can see the target so you won't receive a poor sight penalty. Magic, on the other hand, does not suffer this penalty, so let that Harry Potter shit go wild. If you do run out of AP though, not all is lost in those situations, because that's when you have the option to use momentum points, or MP. These points work differently to AP. You're given a set number every round, and what you don't spend is carried over and added to the amount you receive next round. These points are used in many ways. If you happen to have used all your AP moving, you can use your MP to move further into the yellow outline, or to use other actions. MP is also the currency used to use characters' unique abilities, like spells and combat abilities. You can also set characters into an Overwatch state, where they will attack the first target that enters their view. As if this wasn't complicated enough, there are even more abilities that you can use which use both currencies. Confused yet? Well, sorry, I'm not finished. Now would be a good time to pause and go have a nap to recharge. Don't worry, I'll wait. Feeling better? Alright then. The last thing to mention about combat is your character's well-being. Each of your units has 3 bars you need to keep track of: the health bar, the stress bar, and the will bar. Whenever one of your characters is hit, all 3 of the bars may be affected. The will bar acts as a shield. This will deplete first before your health does and recharges after every fight. Characters will also receive stress, which adds to their heart rate symbol. When the stress meter fills, characters will begin to act irrationally, acting on their own accord for a limited time. This bar also resets after a fight. Finally, your health. Self-explanatory, and is the only bar that won't recover after a fight. Items like medkits will help with that, though in all honesty, I have never had a character go down, so I have no idea what happens if they reach 0 health. I would guess they're unusable for the rest of the mission, but I could be wrong. If anyone knows, let me know down below. When you successfully complete a mission, your characters are rewarded XP, skill points, and equipment that you can use to prepare them for future missions. But even this can be unsatisfying. The items you get are mostly additional things to carry around and weapon mods to increase your character's stats, which, to their credit, are very useful and do make a significant difference on the field, but acquiring them takes forever because the missions last so long. And in all the time I've been playing, I only got 2 new weapons, one of which is essentially a water gun that's so hot it shoots steam hot enough to cut metal, and the other is an LMG my heavy gunner is currently using like a sniper rifle. There are fuck all in terms of weapons, and I really don't get how a developer managed to make guns in a World War II game a rarity. You can't even pick up the weapons the enemies have, which is annoying because some of them have really cool weapons. You're looking at footage from about halfway through the game, At the start though, you'll be fighting Black Sun troopers for a long time. Enemy types are very limited and you get bored very quickly. You start off fighting grunts, which are essentially cannon fodder, and very slowly new soldiers will be introduced. Close quarters units, snipers, officers with advanced tech, heavy units and so on. Even when a new unit is introduced, there isn't really much of a need to change your tactics. The AI is very simple and most of the units will just shoot you and not really use their special attacks. You can imagine on higher difficulties it's harder, simply because their percentage to hit you is higher than yours pretty much all the time. The dominant strategy is flank them and shoot them, plus make Dubois as OP as you can with her never miss spells and amazing pistol shooting. When you approach about halfway through the game, monsters will begin to appear. This is the only time your tactics might change, but not by much. Fans of the Lovecraft series will recognise the Shoggoth and the mutated soldiers, but these are the only two monsters I've fought, and even after like 4 hours into the game, there's still a disappointing amount of enemy variety. As I said, the game introduces new units so slow that you will feel like you're still on the first mission for ages. To be honest, so would anyone who keeps dozing off watching you playing. The environments consist of 1 or 2 possibilities, outside and inside. The levels all look the same and the colours are very dull, which does match the theme of the game, so it makes sense, but it would be nice to see other places like maybe a town or a battlefield, maybe even another dimension where these monsters are spawning from. The maps are so empty outside of combat, and there really isn't anything to do in them. No alternative paths to find, no hidden landmarks, no treasure, sod all. The only thing close to collectibles are these messages you find knocking around the place, but they don't offer anything other than the vaguest bit of lore for a virtually non-existent story. God, did Stephanie Meyer work on this game? I'm not joking when I say that either. The game features no cutscenes, no character interactions, a bare minimum plot. You're just going from A to B, killing stuff, and then going from B to C, and then doing something else, and then going from C to D, and it's just so dull. There's not even a decent selection of music in the game. I'm pretty sure you could record this soundtrack on half the side of a cassette tape. Everyone watching this video under the age of 20 is now going, "What's a cassette tape?" I'm pretty sure there are 3 tracks to the game. They could be more, but they all sound so similar it's hard to notice when the music does change. Even if I'm right, the music is so bland and uninspired it acts more like an indicator than a setting of the atmosphere. By which I mean it highlights when you're in a fight and when you're not in a fight.
On my way.
It even cuts off early sometimes when you finish a fight.
Leave this to me.
Help me.
One less horror in the world.
Oh, don't worry soundtrack. Lots of music finishes early. Even dull ones like you. So, for all the shitting I've done on this game, you're probably wondering why have I played this for as long as I did. Well, to be honest, it's not a bad game. It just feels unfinished. What drew me to this game in the first place was the fact that it was a turn-based squad game, and I own the Mansions of Madness board game, which if you haven't played, definitely do, it's amazing. So the Cthulu theme attracted me as well. There is an average amount of strategy involved, and watching your characters become unstoppable killing machines is always satisfying. I do enjoy this game, but I can only enjoy it in short bursts as the game starts to feel more like a chore the longer you go on. You may have noticed that I'm only on level 6. That's the main mission. In total I've played 11 missions, as you get a side quest for every main mission. In total there's 22 missions, 11 main and 11 side. Granted, there is still room for it to pick up, and maybe there are some more of my much desired guns, but there's nothing driving me to play the game longer than one mission at a time. You can find fun here, Potentially more if you're big into the Cthulhu mythos, but even then, you might suffer the same burnout that I did. As I said, it's not a bad game, it just needs more work. There's so much that could have been done. More playable characters, more factions, more locations, a more involved plot would have been nice. Maybe more customization options like armor and maybe vehicles as well to take into the levels. And more weapons, please. The miniatures game has a lot more going for it, and given the two, I think you'd want to play that one over this. If, however, you are looking for something to play while you're needing to kill some time, or if you're just looking for something to play really casually in your spare time, then if you see this on sale, it's definitely an option. There's no DLC for this game either, and to be honest, I don't think there's going to be. Which is a shame, because I would love to see this game be improved on. I honestly think there is a potential for this game to become something bigger, but unfortunately, this isn't an early access game. This is a fully fledged release game. So, unless they do a No Man's Sky on us, it's going to stay the average time killer that it is. So, now you've heard of it, would you play it? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching everyone, and remember, you're always welcome at the Spectrum.